Hi there, it's Wise here, and I'm once again bringing you guys some wise words. How are you? Huh? Huh? I heard good. I heard great. That's what I love hearing. First thing in the morning, out here in the backyard, just checking out the scenery. I love coming out here. It makes me calm, makes me peaceful. I try to keep my backyard very nice and trim and whatnot. My girlfriend's got me doing some work back here. So it's very relaxing for me to come out here. And with that being said, I want to say in my relaxed mood that I'm in, that I love you. I love each and every one of you. I love you guys so, so much. I know that sometimes when I say that, you guys are probably like, this guy doesn't even know me. What is he talking about? But after I talk about today's subject, maybe you'll realize why I love people and just, everything, being alive so much. Even though I know there's a lot of stuff going on out there in the world that could really put you down, especially if you watch a lot of television or if you feed into a lot of social media. I am going to give you guys a trick today on how to be more even killed. So let's get into the subject. We're here to talk about something today that I know will tickle your funny bone, and that is happiness. How to manifest your own happiness, how to create inner happiness, getting in touch with your inner child, whatever you want to call it, that's what we're going to talk about today. And the reason I want to talk about it is people just are just not happy. I've seen a lot. I'm from New York originally. I live in Colorado now. There's a lot more happy. All right, there's happier people per capita in Colorado, in my opinion, than there was back in New York. And I also went to college in Ohio, so I'd even put Ohio into that. And a lot of places I've been, because there's a highly concentrated amount of happy people in Colorado. But with that being said, the world as a whole, depending on where you live or how you see the world, and I know that the how you see the world is just a reflection of yourself. But even though I'm very happy, I get a lot of questions and I see a lot of people that question my happiness and want to know how I got there. They're not in the same state. They don't know what to do to get out of the funk, whatever their funk might be that they're in. So I figured I'd share this video with you guys just to tell you, well, guys and girls, why they're always guys, just share with you exactly what it is that makes me happy or how I achieve this perpetual happiness. Now, I'm not saying that it's super healthy or even prescribed to try to be happy all the time. But what I will say is that all emotions are fleeting. So, what you could try to do is polarize yourself in an emotion that is stable and that is beneficial to your well being most of the time. And I found, at least for me, that happiness is one of those states. It keeps me in an affable, approachable, almost jovial type of state most of the time. There's some times when I can be a little cranky, like if you catch me right after a hard, high intensity workout, or if I just got done doing a ton of yard work and I may be a little bit tired. Give me a couple minutes, I'll promise I'll be back to who you see here on camera. But what I go through isn't what a lot of people go through, so I figured I would share exactly what it is that helps me get to this point. If you guys don't know, the amount of time that we get to spend on this earth is extremely finite in comparison to the universe. They say the universe is 13.5 billion years old. They say our galaxy is maybe about 4 billion years old, accordingly, because that's how old the sun is. And as a culture, as a species, as a race, we've only been here for maybe 250,000, close to 400,000 years. Humans as we are now, that is. So, with that being said, the amount of time that we get to spend, even if you live to be 100, it is a small glimpse. So, with that small glimpse, you should not be spending it, at least in my opinion, being in a bad mood, not being happy, not achieving inner happiness and inner calm. So, I say that to say this. Let's talk about some ways to cultivate that inner peace. And the number one thing I will start with is you getting back in touch with your inner child. Or, better yet, remembering what it was that made you happy as a kid. Whether it was riding bikes, sliding down slides, climbing trees, whatever it might have been. Let me give you an example. Me, myself, as a kid, especially young Umar, around the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably all the way up until about 12 or 13, I loved going on little adventures, little excursions, especially to places I'd never had been. I know things are very different now. I don't know what the age range of people watching these are, but when I was younger, my mom used to kick me out of the house at probably about 9, 10 in the morning. Didn't expect me back to maybe lunchtime, and if I didn't come back, I had to be home before the street lights came on. Make sure at least maybe if I could call her at least once that day, but just don't get any trouble. And that was that. My summer times consisted of meeting up my friends, riding bikes in places we had never been before, going into the woods. I mean, even when I lived in Brooklyn, we spent a lot of time just doing crazy stuff, having water balloon fights, going into abandoned buildings, just crazy, crazy stuff. And now I find myself as an adult, the things that make me extremely happy are going on hikes to places I've never been, maybe exploring a cave or something like that, going out into the middle of the desert, which I recently did, and I do as often as I possibly can, even though I live in Colorado. The desert's not super close, but I love being in the desert. I don't know what it is about just long stretches of highway and just that scenery, or when I'm in the mountains and exploring a new hike or somewhere I haven't been before. It just gives me this inner feeling of calm and also of excitement because I'm exploring. So I've always kept that in me. I've always kept that with me. And that's what I would suggest for you to do. Find something that you used to do as a kid before they told you you had to be who you are now, before they made you have a job or they made you buy a car or get a house. Remember who you were when you always lived in the present moment, when things were always fun and exciting and new and fresh. If you can bring that elation back into your day to day life, things will start to change. You'll start seeing the world with new, fresh eyes. A lot of people just go through the door or go through the day and walk through doors expecting to see things that they normally see, not going through it trying to observe something new. And once you do that, and it may sound a little tedious at first, but it's not. It, at least for me, it's extremely exciting. Once you start doing that, you start breathing life back into things that didn't have life before. So, give it a try, and I think you'll like it. Number 2, don't take things too personally. Don't take things too personally. Except for when I tell you I love you, because I love you. But besides that, the world is full of people who don't know how to keep their emotional balance in check. The world is full of people who aren't going to be trying out new ways to fill themselves with inner peace or happiness. The world isn't filled with those type of people because they're conditioned not to be happy. They're conditioned to always want more and more and more, always move on to the next bigger thing, always looking to achieve something that they don't currently have, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, because I'm talking to you guys about achieving inner peace and self-happiness. But with that being said, the things that TV, radio, computer, any of the websites that you go to, friends, family, peers, tell you that you need to have and that you don't currently have. Oh, John bought a new house. Did you hear that? Or maybe you compare yourself intellectually. Did you hear that Jim down the block just got his master's degree in engineering? What have you done lately? There are many, many ways and many, many things that people put into your minds to convince you that you currently aren't at a state at which you need to be, which puts you into this mindset of perpetual unhappiness because you're constantly trying to attain something that you don't currently have. And when you're doing that, you're never happy with what you have. And that makes things extremely, extremely hard. Be grateful for the people around you. Be grateful for a roof over your head. Just try to bring a little gratitude into your daily life, and it'll go a long way. So don't take things personally, because other people won't be trying to change their inner condition, but you are. And you can control your inner condition. So when somebody comes at you with negativity, remember, that's because something that's going on in their life, and it's not a reflection of you. And relating to what I was saying a moment ago, brings me to number 3. Be grateful. Be grateful. You are alive, and it beats the alternative. At least that's what I've heard. So, with that being said, be grateful. Like I was saying a moment ago, for the roof over your head, the clothing in your closet or in your dresser drawers or in your armoire, the food in your refrigerator, the people in your life that love you, the plants and the animals around you, all of these things, all of these wonderful gifts that you have to be grateful for. Nothing to be grateful for? You're telling me there's nothing to be grateful for in your life? I can't believe that. Here's what you do. Every morning when you get up, you look in the mirror, you wash your face, rub some water on your face. Think of 5 things that make you grateful. Any 5 things, could be anything. Could be the fact that you don't have high pollution content in the city that you live in. The fact that you're a vegan. The fact that you are still alive. The fact that your grandmother took the time to handwrite you a letter for your birthday. It can be anything. Pick things that you are grateful for, things that other people may not have. There are people in the world who have no clothing, have no housing. There are people in the world who wake up every night to bombings going off in their city. There are people who wake up every night to maybe their father beating on their mother, or the fact that they don't even have a mother or father. So when you really stop and think about it, there's so many things for you to be grateful for, that if you really just start focusing on those things a little bit more instead of the things that you don't have, the things that make you unhappy, I'm telling you, like I always tell you, things will start to change, things will start to shift, and you will see the world with a different light and become a more happy, well balanced person. So, this next one I've talked about a little bit before, but I know it's a touchy subject for people. So, I'm just going to spit it out, and I don't want you to get offended. But exercise, or just play. Play, exercise, exercise, play. I like to interchange the two. Like I mentioned a moment ago, I love hiking. It's one of my favorite pastimes. In fact, I'm going to put some videos up of me going on hikes. I recently lost my GoPro in a Tough Mudder event. I wanted to surprise you guys with a video from Tough Mudder, but during one of the obstacles, my GoPro actually came off my head cam. So I filed a report. Hope I get it back. If so, you guys will have that video. But if not, I'm going to get a new camera anyways, and I want to upload you guys some of the beautiful hikes that I go on. I know that I've put videos up on just a little bit where I've stopped and recorded in a nice scenic part of the hike, but I want to bring you guys more parts of the hikes because, I mean, just to show you that I'm practicing what I'm preaching, that I'm getting out there, that I'm doing a lot of these things, and I'm telling you will give you more happiness. But like I was saying, do both, play and exercise. Interchange the two if you can. What I like to do is I love biking. I love working out. I know that sounds a little weird, but you do get addicted to it. Runners out there will know what I'm talking about when I talk about a runner's high or a workout high. It's a rhythm that you get into, a mental mindset kind of mantra that you build up with your breath work and what you're telling yourself in your mind. And then you just kind of have this euphoric feeling. You'll hear it from runners or people who exercise to high extents a lot, that they get to this zone where they just feel very at peace, very, very zen-like. So, what I want you to do is find that thing for you. Find that thing that makes you want to play and exercise, or exercise and play. I've mentioned before on here, it could be martial arts, it could be biking, it could be running, it can be fencing, it could be rock climbing. It can be so many different things, but do something. Now, the National Health Administration recommends that you do at least a half an hour to an hour a day. I recommend the same thing. If you can, try to do it at least a half an hour to an hour a day, more if you possibly can. If you can't stand it, if you're just starting out, I would recommend a little bit less, maybe right at that half an hour a day, and then maybe work your way up if you start really enjoying it. And always do the exercise or play, maybe it's basketball or field hockey or soccer or football for my international friends. Any one of those things, as long as you're going to do it, as long as you have fun doing it, do it, and you'll reap the benefits of being happier, because you're now putting yourself back into a playful situation, using your body, coming back into who you are. Speaking of coming back into who you are, it brings me to number 4: meditation. Meditation. I know I've put a video up about it on here before, but I'm going to keep preaching it because I practice it every day. And I recommend finding a book on meditation. You could do meditation for dummies. I've mentioned on here Master Mantak Chia before with the Taoistic approach to meditation. There's Hindu approaches to meditation, japa meditation, tons of different meditations that you can get into, but just get into it. I recommend anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes a day if you can muster it, an hour if you can muster it, just depending. I mean, some of my, if you're retired, if you're a retiree out there, I recommend doing it an hour a day, maybe a half an hour in the morning, half an hour at night. But start off with 20 minutes. In the beginning, it's going to be kind of difficult because you're not able to concentrate or even clear out some of the mental clutter, some of the yap, yap, yap that's going on within your head of things that you should have done before that you got to do in the future and so on and so forth. But once you start, you'll build up this mental landscape that'll help you really be able to cultivate a self-awareness and an inner happiness that a lot of people don't have. You'll now pay attention to your emotional state and whether it's changing or shifting, and it'll come in super handy. Oh, I got one more. This one is one that I usually don't throw out there too much, and I was even just thinking now, should I not say it? But I'm going to. To cultivate inner happiness, you need to love yourself unequivocally and unadulteratedly. I've said it on here before, and the reason I was a little reluctant right here is because I've caught some flack from my friends about loving yourself unconditionally, where they kind of called me a hypocrite because I mentioned that I wanted to get hair plugs. I haven't told the story to a lot of people, but when I was about 15, 16 years old, I have a chemical burn on the top of my head from lye, and hair doesn't grow there anymore. So, before that, before I was 16, I didn't get my first haircut till I was almost 11 years old. I had the biggest afro until I was about maybe 9 or 10, and then I got my hair put in braids and then subsequently into dreadlocks, and I absolutely loved my hair. I was reminiscent of maybe like a Samson or something like that. So I really, I miss it because what happened was after I got my hair out of dreadlocks, I got my first haircut when I was probably about 13 or 14. And then what happened was I lived in a place where I didn't have access to African American products for my hair and things like that, or people that were able to braid cornrow or dreadlock my hair like they were back when I lived in New York. So the people that I went to, stylists and beauticians, would put straightener into my hair. Well, what happened was I went to a stylist that was new at it, and she left the straightener in for too long, and I got a burn on my head. Went to a dermatologist. They said maybe it would grow back in a couple years, but it really didn't. And it's been now almost, I'm 31 for anybody who's curious, and it's been almost 14, 15 years and it hasn't grown back. So I'd really like to grow my dreadlocks back, but in order for me to do that, now I've tried different type of natural treatments because I'm not really into any over-the-counter drugs or prescribed drugs. A lot of my personal friends know my views on that. But with all that being said, I really do miss having dreadlocks. So I wanted to, I was talking to some of my friends about maybe getting hair plugs, doing a LeBron James, or some of my international friends, a Wayne Rooney, he's a famous striker from Manchester United, who also got hair plugs around the same time as LeBron. But the reason I want to do it is so I can grow my hair out. It's not, I mean, I'm not vain. I mean, I love the way that I look. But I guess that is kind of a vain thing to say. So I say that to say this. I was reluctant to say something about self-love a moment ago because of what people have said to me about me wanting to get hair plugs. And if anybody knows me, they know there's tons of things about me. Like I've said before, I have flat feet. I'm working on it from a natural homeopathic way. I have gaps in my teeth, but I still love my beautiful smile. I have what some people would consider to be big lips or a big nose. I don't care about any of that. I believe I'm a beautiful person. And if you can't see that in me, then I'm sorry. But I believe I'm a beautiful person, and I love Umar. With that being said, I love practicing self-love, thinking about if I ever find myself doubting myself, I instantly replace that thought with some sort of mantra that puts me into a positive mindset. And I do that because I know that the world is not full of positive things. I've seen a lot of negative things. If you turn on the news or you look on social media, There are positive things in the world, but for the most part, they're not as abundant as the negative things, and I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. So the reason that I practice self-love and I always replace those negative thoughts with positive thoughts is because I know that nobody else is going to come up and do it for me. And if they do, I keep that person around because they're few and far between. So I tell you to practice self-love. Always tell yourself how much you love yourself, how beautiful a person that you are. And if you do that enough, you'll start believing it, especially if you don't currently believe it. I believe it, and you should believe it. Because like I said in the beginning, everyone deserves happiness. No matter what you did in the past or what you might do in the future, everyone deserves happiness. As long as it's not at the behest of someone else's, at someone else's happiness. Because that won't make you happy, but will it? So guys, I hope I wasn't too loquacious on this video for you, and that you enjoyed some of the information that you got from it, and that it gave you some insight on how to be a happier person. Because like I said, you deserve it. You deserve it. As always, I want to wish you infinite love, infinite peace, and infinite wisdom.